reality, and that has never been more true than when looking over at the fake news. Joining us now to take a look at all the media madness is Media Research Center Senior Analyst Bill D'Agostino. Also with us is the President and Executive Editor of the Daily Signal, Robert Bluey. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to see you, Lydia.
So, Robert, barely 2 weeks since Trump took office, and his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, has shown she is a force to be reckoned with. Here she is on Good Morning America, defending Trump's plan to force federal government workers back to work, back to go in the office.
Is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment, and that's what this administration expects.
Who would have thought doctors have to actually go into the office to examine people, maybe perform surgeries? They're now calling Caroline Leavitt, some people calling her the fake news Grim Reaper. Robert, would you agree, based on what you've been seeing thus far of her performance?
Lydia, Caroline's performance is off the charts great. She has done a phenomenal job, not only in the briefings in the White House press room, but also going head-to-head on many of these legacy media organizations and not being afraid of those tough questions and giving them very candid, common-sense answers, which I think, yes, in their own world, they probably haven't heard things like that. And that is good. We need to challenge them directly. We need to make sure that that the American people are hearing an alternative point of view, because we all know that they live inside their bubbles and oftentimes don't consider the perspective that conservatives might see the world.
And then, Bill, up next, of course, my favorite and yours, MSNBC, taking the award for the most tone-deaf hyperbole for the week with this little ditty about mass deportations.
On this harrowing anniversary of Holocaust anniversary does have a really eerie echo to something that I think people thought, how could that happen? And that could never happen again. We are now on live TV talking about administration and live interviews with their faces showing that says proudly that schools are not off limits.
Right. I mean, Tom Homan is engaged in cosplay. He wants to be Bull Connor.
So just so we're clear, she's comparing the mass deportations to the Holocaust. Bill, your thoughts?
Right. Apparently the mass execution of specific ethnic groups is the same as repatriating people to their own country, according to Nicole Wallace. This is the same MSNBC host who famously had to apologize after saying that Trump was talking about exterminating Latinos. So she's been doing this for years. She's actually a former Republican. I believe she was a John McCain staffer. So her claim to fame is essentially helping Republicans lose elections. And she has since turned into one of the most Trump derangement addled MSNBC hosts imaginable. Her entire show is like a support group for failed Republicans. So this is nothing new from MSNBC. They're going about as crazy as we assumed they would go when the mass deportation started. And it's fun. It's fun to watch, to be honest.
And the somber tone, the Holocaust. The way if I was a Jewish, I would be so offended to compare this to the Holocaust. You can't compare it to anything, the Holocaust. Okay, so not to be outdone, The View's Sunny Hostin alluded to some ulterior motives with the deportations. Robert, take a listen to this.
Yeah, you know, to answer your question, which is this the immigration fix that this country wanted? I think absolutely there are certain people that wanted to see this kind of pain and destruction for a certain group or type of immigrant.
Your thoughts?
Well, she mustn't be in touch with the 79 million people who voted for Donald Trump. Immigration played the central role, maybe only trailed by the economy, as the issue that motivated people to turn out and cast a vote for Donald Trump. And that's because Joe Biden undid what Trump had put in place when he left office. We had the most secure border in our nation's history. Joe Biden came in on day one and erased all of it. And so, yes, the American people want to see changes. And I think that they do want to see people who are here illegally go back to their home countries. Let's face it, not only is the crime off the charts in so many of these places across America, but they're taking away jobs from Americans. And so this is an issue that I think Donald Trump is going to be focused on. Tom Homan is already doing an outstanding job over the course of the last 2 weeks, and I hope that we'll see more of it.
Before I let you go, Bill, this week CNN's Jim Acosta He signed off from CNN amid some big shakeups. Wolf Blitzer's moving mornings. Jim was supposed to be moved to midnight. He's now going to Substack and this, and we're seeing some layoffs. But he left his show with a dark, ominous message. Take a listen to what he said.
It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant. I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope.
So, am I crazy? I feel like this whole, it's a ruse that, oh, this has to do with Trump, why he got moved, because he had good ratings. Maybe he's just a bitter individual that people didn't like working with. There's so many, I feel like it's just kind of a cover that, oh, he's a martyr. He's a victim of Trump's administration, when maybe this guy they just wanted to move his slot. I don't know, Bill. What do you think?
Yeah, the reality is he's not that successful of a television host. His main claim to fame was heckling the various Trump press secretaries and President Trump himself during briefings and routinely showboating. There's even audio of Sean Spicer telling Jim to quiet down because the cameras aren't on today, Jim. And Jim freaks out and says, well, we should turn the cameras on, right? I mean, it's transparent showboating. He loves painting himself as a martyr. He wrote a whole book about it called Enemy of the People. And yeah, I think that CNN they're cutting costs, right? They fired like 6% of their workforce a couple of weeks ago, and they've realized that it's not worth it to keep this expensive haircut on to get like a few 100,000 views a night. So yeah, he's gone. This has nothing to do with bowing down to tyrants. And it's also a little bit ironic to hear him say, don't give in to the lies and fear, like say Trump is going to destroy democracy.
Right, exactly. Bill D'Agostino, Robert Bluey, thank you so much. We could continue on and on. We've got clips galore. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.